In accordance with the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, this channel is not to be viewed by children under the age of 13. Your discussion is advised. Hey everybody, Dragon Mark here, and welcome back to Let's Play Shadowrun Dragonfall Director's Cut. Last we left off, we completed our mission for here Futures, and we were able to, we came back to the Cruise Bazaar after we got ambushed by some mercenaries. We don't know who they were, so we have to go ahead and talk to Amsel over here. If you're wondering what happened last episode, it looks like some of the episode got cut off. Mostly it was the important bits. The important bits still stayed, but what happened afterward was cut. I don't know why. So I'm just redoing it once we got to the back to the Cruise Bazaar, so we can basically, chat with everybody. Let's do that now. First, 0 messages. Let's see. Check the stats of the Alice one, or... Oh, right. I think this might be the... Crap, is this... I think it is. Crap. This was the save file that I made earlier. Yep, this is the 14th. Right, that was when I made the first save file before that whole shite happened. Apologies, I completely forgot. I had to go to the autosave. That one was my bad. It's been a while since I played this. Since last week we did stream, but the thing crapped out. I hate this. Like, I don't know what's going on with the streams. I tried going to YouTube about it, but they basically just said to contact PlayStation customer support. So I just decided to delete it. The old video. And I had a few minutes to do it too. I should have just checked first. Let's try this again. Let's first post the pay data. The Shearing Pharma AG chemical research data. Should probably get us some good cash. Let's check the Shadowlands post. Massacre at Shotness Schoolhouse. Really attention-grabbing headline, right? That's what the local news has been spitting it. Truth is, the schoolhouse has been abandoned years ago and was being used as a humanist recruitment and training complex. You're kidding me. A friend of mine was going there after class and he said it was just a community center. I know none of you are fans of humanists, but that entire chapter house got wiped clean. There were probably some kids in there off the street who were just looking for a hot meal. Screw humanists for exploiting them, but they didn't deserve death. Good riddance to those assholes. Streets are a little safer now that they're all buried. Went trolling on the Humanist board and that place was totally wiped out. Volker Stahl was in charge of that chapter house. Good riddance to that piece of dreck. Just got offered a job to geek one of the Humanists' lieutenants. Seems like Stahl is dead and a power struggle is already underway. You taking the job? Not my kind of work, but I gave the Johnson an address to one of you Trek's dead drops. Cheers, mate. Just finished up drinks with a chummer who was doing some biz in there. The real story is that humanists did not want to pay for services rendered and some hired muscle went crazy and took them all out. So the muscle decided taking the whole place down would get the Neon back? Well, that's one way of make a living, I guess. Even if your friend did get screwed out of a bit of Neon, I don't think humanists would even be worth the bullets. Especially that many of them. So it looks like our little plan worked. With humanists dead, they're pretty much on a power struggle. Save the F state. The time rise up against the corporations is now. Fight for a free Berlin. You just fell out of a time warp? The war is over and we won. Hard to imagine Berlin any freer. Maybe you just need to switch to decaf? As long as any corporation is active anywhere in the F state, we are all at risk. We must act. Corps are good for business and keep in their little corners. Why do you think we would help you? How naive to think that they will stay there forever. Don't you see that they are taking the freedom we all hold so dear? Plans are being made across the F state. With the shadow community on our side, we shall prevail. The F state has its own way of dealing with those who step out of line. Take your politics somewhere else. Around here, we got bills to pay. It's kind of true, honestly. As long as Shadowrunners get paid, they don't really care what happens to this. What happens. Also, sorry if I sound a little low. My mom's asleep. It's 10 in the morning. Running on SK. Shice, what a thrill. Had to do a simple data seal in an SK branch office. Turned into an OK Corral shootout. Never seen first response team arrive that fast in my life. Had a Decker off-site running damage control. Managed to distract the second team to a different building while we jacked the car the first team came in. Lesson learned. Simple when it comes to SK means something else. You saw the corpse response vehicle? Don't they have trackers on those things? Of course they do. Dumped it off the side of the road with a prime grenade in the backseat just to be safe. Nice one. Bragging about a nearly failed run on SK. Is it worth then paying a Decker to backtrace your Shadowland account? Any idea what valuable data they were hiding in that branch office? No idea. When it was too good to take any chances with it, safely delivered it and the transfer cleared. So it looks like someone went after the Lockwares Corporation. And my mom's up. Good. Alright. Salvage DVD. The screen flickers to life and Milit's face appears. From the shifting background and ambient noise, it's clear that this message was recorded on a portable device. Push shift. Just wanted to tell you that I met with limited success on working on that stack of DVDs. An authority problem, but at least I'm making some headway. If you look on the table beside your DVD player, you'll find another recovered disc. I wasn't able to salvage all the files on it, but I think you might be able to find what I did recover to be of interest. For my part, I'm going to continue working on those other DVDs. To tell you the truth, I wouldn't hold out much hope though. They're all badly damaged and suffer from disc rot besides. I'll be in touch. The best to you and your team. The message ends and the image fades. You find yourself back in your inbox. Still alive. Jana to shift. Oh, the electrician. I guess that I should thank you. You got me out of that horrible job alive. I don't think I could have made it on my own. What happened on that run took everything else away from me. But at least I'm still breathing. The lodge turned me into a killer shift. That gnaws in my guts every minute every day, and I still can't sleep at night. Innocent people, normal people, dead because of what I did. And you know why they made me do it? Because they could. I don't know. Maybe this doesn't bother you. You're a Shadowrunner after all. You kill people all the time. Just another day at the office, huh? Well, I'm not like you. I can't just kill people on the job and forget about it the next day. This is gonna haunt me for the rest of my life. I don't know how to live like this, but it's still better than not living at all. That's what I keep telling myself. So I figured that I might as well tell it to you too, Jay. So I guess Jana's still traumatized over that run. Honestly, usually I scrap the run and get out of there. Recovery. Oh, Soki. Hi, Shift. This is Soki from the hotel. I hope it's okay that I'm writing you. Sam will give me your email address. Anyway, I just wanted to thank you for everything that you did for me. Kicking my cram head was the hardest thing that I've ever done, and I don't think I would have tried if you hadn't talked me into it. To celebrate my newfound sobriety, I decided to sign on as a volunteer at the charity. Who knows, maybe giving back to the community will help turn things around in my life. Anyway, thanks again, Shift. How are you one? Yours, Silky. Alright, speaking of jobs, let's get that payment. You submit the job as finished and await your client's response. A few moments later, a message pops onto the screen. Here, futures to Shift. An excellent job, Shift. You are a credit to your profession and I would not hesitate to hire you again. Your fee will be transferred to your account immediately. A moment later, a second message pops into your inbox. Your payment details. Payment from client, 15 grand. Deductions for crew salary is 4K, ammo and resupply is 1,000. automatic deduction for the Alice Fund, 7,500, and the remainder is 2,500. Yeah, not much. Alright, that's enough. Oh right, we gotta do everyone's things. We can get a custom sniper rifle or wired reflexes. Let's get the sniper rifle. Next up, Blitz, Low Creature Cyber Deck, Glory. I think we'll go with the adrenal pump so we can get an extra round in. Dietrich. Let's augment the electro course so only across 1 AP to cast. I do like that option, you know, upgrading everyone's skills. Now, let's actually talk to everyone else now. Shift. Eiger gives you a shallow nod. Any thoughts on the last run? She shrugs. It was a nice change of pace, a simple job with a straightforward objective. At the end of the day, the whole thing was pretty by the numbers. The rigger died, we got paid, and everyone went home happy. That's a win in my book. Ever heard of an organization called the Lodge? Afraid not. If it's a Berlin thing, you might be better off talking to one of the others. They've been here longer than I have. Do you trust me, Eiger? She pauses for a moment, considering. Finally, she nods. Yeah, I do. You've heard that much. I haven't always agreed with your decision, Shift, but you've proven your competence. It's only fair for me to acknowledge it. Then tell me what happened to your team. This again? Why do you even care, Shift? Because it's pretty clear that if you had your way, you'd still be with them. And a good leader places a priority on knowing his team. She slowly nods. Alright, I'll tell you. I suppose that you deserve to know. What happened to us was Hoffman. He was a rookie. The kid of some big money corporate exec. He looked good on paper, and he made it through KSK training, so he was technically qualified to join the team, but he was way too green to fit in with ours. Still, he wanted to be a hero, and his family had enough clout to get him an assignment of his choosing. I don't know how many strings Hoffman's daddy had to pull to get him assigned to our team, but he pulled them. Hoffman became our 9th squad mate, despite Metzger's objections. Anyway, flash forward a few weeks, we were closing in on one of the Russian mob's major trafficking operations. They'd been using a series of warehouses 50 miles from the border as a staging area for their convoys. Women and girls from Eastern Europe were being housed there. When the convoys came, they were crammed into cargo containers and hauled across the border into Germany. Go to any brothel along the border and have a look around. Chances are, you'll find at least a few girls who spent some time in those warehouses. Slovakians, Hungarians, Poles, you name it. The mob had been smuggling them all over for decades. But we were in a position to derail their operation, and we weren't going to let our new addition slow us down. We hit them by surprise, and we hit them hard. Fisher and Braun managed to take down the Banshee they had patrolling the site. Wolf had reconnaissance drones overhead providing battle tech feeds to the rest of us, and we picked off their gunmen one by one. They had their numbers on us, but they didn't know where to hit us. We had eyes in the sky, and we had cover and concealment. Every time they thought they had a fix on us, we shift positions and hit them again. They might as well have been fighting ghosts. Then Hoffman broke cover and gave away our position. After that, all hell broke loose. Wolf went down first. The sound of it will haunt me for the rest of my days. An explosion, a choked scream, and then this long, drawn-out gurgling sound. When he died, his drones went down with him. And there were too many hostiles to track without him. I'll spare you the gory details, Shift. Suffice to say that my team was wiped out. Eiger's face clouds again. You can see the tears begin to well in her eyes. I watched Metzger die. With a visible effort, she clamps down on her emotions and calms herself. When she speaks again, her voice is flat. I took 3 rounds myself. Had to drag myself back across the Oder-Neisse line into Germany. I almost died. So that's the story. My KSK career died with the rest of the team. My mission was illegal after all, off the books. There was no going back for me, so I wound up here. She looks you in the eye, her tone was impassive. Did that tell you everything you wanted to know, fearless leader? Are you satisfied now? Yeah. Thanks, Eiger. So tell me, what was your takeaway from my tale of woe? I figured you got to have one. When Monica died, you blamed me because I was new to the team, but I'm not Hoffman, Eiger. Yeah, she nods. I know that. And you are right, to a point. I might have judged you too harshly because of Hoffman, but everything else that I said was justified. Giving you command of this team was a hasty decision, made it for the wrong reasons. I stand by that assessment. But between then and now, I've been watching you like a hawk, and you've grown, Shift. You weren't the right choice to leave before, I still believe that. But you are now. Thanks, Eiger. Good talk. She nods. Till next time. Well, we're getting some story time here for everybody. Glory's pallid face lights up at your approach. A genuine smile spreads across her lips. Shift, good to see you. Any thoughts on the last run? There isn't much to say. She pauses to study you for a moment before continuing. I think that we should have given Thorvald a chance to prove his claims. Waiting a few minutes to kill him wouldn't have harmed anything. That said, I understand why you did what you did. The job was to kill him. We all knew what he'd be set up for. She shrugs. We're one step closer to paying Alice's fee. In the end, that's all that really matters. Heard of an organization called the Lodge? She shrugs. I've heard of a lot of lodges. Shamanic lodges, nature lodges, hunting lodges. Can you be more specific? Secretive organization with a lot of pull. Not big on telling the truth. Any of that stuff familiar? She pauses for a moment, considering. Finally, she shakes her head. Nothing is coming to me, sorry. Dietrich might be able to help. He's been in Berlin longer than any of us. And if this lodge has any shamanic connections, he'd be the most likely one to know. I'll ask him. Thanks. No problem. Anything else? Well, you too. How are things with you? She pauses for a moment, considering. You know what? I'm happy, actually. For the first time in a long time. I have you to thank for that. You ready to tell me about that chrome you're sporting? Be patient, Shift. The explanation for that is coming. The look of unease flits across her face. I'm not sure you're gonna like it, though. You needed time, and I've given you time. You ready to talk about Fierstealth yet? Yeah. Glory looks troubled, more so than you've seen her before. Whatever memory she's dredging up must be exceedingly painful. I'm not gonna lie, I haven't been looking forward to this. But yeah, it's time. Shift. Look, I'm about to tell you some things about myself that might change your opinion of me. It's entirely possible that you're going to hate me based on what comes next. I've accepted that. And if that's what happens, I sincerely believe that you deserve it. Hey, viewer. She looks you in the eye, her expression grim. So tell me, are you sure that you want to keep pushing forward with this? This is important for you, Glory. After everything we've been through, I think that we both know that. Whatever you have to tell me, I'm ready to listen. Thanks, Shift. Thanks for being a friend. So when we left off last time, I had just moved from the streets of Tübingen to the warm, inviting confines of Fierstealth. Mona and I were happy there for a little while, and Harrow embraced us as a long-lost daughter. Embraced me as a long-lost daughter. I should probably take a moment to talk more about Harrow. He's going to be an important figure in this story. I don't know what his age was. He seemed old enough to be parental, but young enough to still hang with the kids on something like a peer level. Best guess, I'd say that he was in his mid-20s. He was handsome and well-built, with a neatly trimmed beard and thick brown hair. There was something else about him, something uncanny. Harrow had this charisma, this raw, magnetic attraction that just made people latch onto him. I saw it over and over. All it took was a few words and a pat on the shoulder, and Harrow would have a new convert. The other kids at the farm followed him around like lost puppies. As much as I loved Marta, and as much as I thought she loved me, we forgot all about one another when Harrow was around. All that we wanted was to be close to him, to be part of his inner circle. And soon enough we were. For a girl of 17, it was all terribly exciting. Harrow had these rules of living they would teach us, rules about self-determination and the importance of disobedience. He claimed to have taught classes at the University of Berlin, which he painted as a mix between an earthly paradise and an anarchist playground. He told us how Fierstealth would be the focal point for a new movement for the children of the fatherland. He told us that we were special. We ate it up, of course. We were kids. For those of us in the inner sanctum, Harrow would share even more. He had the power the likes of which I had never seen. Not my father's drunken fists or my own childish experiments, but genuine, incredible power. He said it came from the Horned God, and an ancient deity that he venerated. He knew about my latent abilities right away, and he offered to teach me. Naturally, I accepted. I've heard of the Horn God. His followers have a poor reputation, especially among women. Any bad reputation that might have gained is well deserved. There's more to it than that, as you'll see. Glory sighs. Hang with me, Shift. Rough waters ahead. So, I became Harrow's apprentice. He taught me to channel magic and summon spirits. He taught me rituals and pagan traditions, Machiavellian philosophy, and Nietzschean ethics. Above all, he taught me to connect with his horned god, and I thought and through it, I learned power and arrogance. It was all downhill from there. For the next few years, I lived at Fierstel as Harrow's enforcer and right-hand girl. I was also sometimes wife and concubine, but that was a distinction that I shared with all these girls in the commune, including my beloved Marta. I came to learn that she'd been his long before she met me, but at that point, I didn't care. I didn't break. Sorry about that, my controller disconnected. I apologize in advance. Other fun facts about those years. I learned cruelty. I have power now, and my new idol encouraged me to use it. Power did the same. Any children who didn't pull their weight were subjected to my tender mercies. That was anything but tender. I took what I wanted rather than asking for it. I liked it. It was fun. I also came to learn that Harrow's horned god was not the achieved first worship by the throwback cults across Germany. It was certainly a god with horns, but it came from an altogether different tradition. Could hazard a guess? Educate me. Satan, Lucifer, Old Scratch. In the magically active community, we refer to it as the adversary. Whatever you chose to call it, it's every bit as bad as it sounds. So my idol, the ancient deity that was feeding on me my power, was the antithesis of everything that was right and good. And you know what? I didn't care. A literal Satan cult. Only in Shadowrun. In our time together, Harrowin and I committed more atrocities than I could count. At this point, I was onto all his tricks. I knew that Fierstel was nothing more than a honey trap, carefully designed to lure local children into my master's clutches. I knew that the kids who seemed resistant to Harrow's brainwashing techniques would wound up fertilizing the garden. I know that Harrow's entire manifesto was bullcrap. Sorry about not saying that, just YouTube's new algorithms and stuff. Wait, oh god, he killed the kids. That's messed up. I don't want to pin the blame for my decision on anyone but me. That said, I would like to posit that my father's connection to the cruise ridders might have helped me play into my willingness to serve the adversary. In my warped, indoctrinated little brain, I equated the church with evil, so the opposite of that I figured had to be, well, if not good, then at least not totally bad. But I was kidding myself, of course. My new deity was the very definition of bad. Serving it made me bad. End of story. I can't excuse the choices that you made. I can understand why you made them. That's big of you, Shift. You really mean that. She takes a moment to steel herself, then continues on. Anyway, one day, Harrow invited me on a field trip to Stuttgart. Over the years I was at Fierstel, the commune had easily doubled in size. It was thriving, all thanks to the efforts of Marta and the girls like her. Harrow would send the girls out to neighboring cities to lure the street kids that nobody would miss. He targeted children because they were easy to indoctrinate, and because nothing makes the adversary happier than the corruption of the innocent. As we drove out to pick up the new recruits, I was already planning ahead. It was a foregone conclusion that I would pay my father a visit. The irony of a group of cruise raiders getting immolated by a genuine servant of the actual devil took me to no end. So when Harrow stopped to fill up on diesel, I hopped out of the van and headed out on foot to my parents' place. Harrow wasn't overly concerned about my absence. I had long since reached the point where I could assert my autonomy, and he knew that I'd be back. I wound up at my folks' house sometime around noon. I could hear the adversary whispering in my ear, telling me what to do. I've long since learned to listen to its voice. It always rewarded me with extra power when I did its bidding. It told me to knock, so I did. As the door opened, I could feel a torrent of flames welling up in the astral plane all around me. It told me to channel them into the doorway, into my father, so I did. But of course, the person who opened the door wasn't my father. It was my mother. Oof. As I watched her flesh blacken and melt, as I heard her scream and I broke into hysterics, I heard the adversary laugh. At that moment, I realized it was laughing at me. I'm so sorry, Glory. Glory nods, a grim expression on her delicate face. Thanks. We're almost to the end now. Thanks for sticking with me. It was like a lever had been pulled. All at once, the bubble popped. I wasn't a powerful servant of the adversary. I was not Harold's #1 girl. I was a ridiculous little fool who had been willingly tied her soul to the worst thing in existence. Realizing all of this was one thing. Actually fixing was something else entirely. I knew that I had to be away from Harold. That was the first thing to do, so I bit my lip and did my best to ignore the happy babble of the new recruits on the trip back to Fairstel, and I managed to get through the ride without screaming. Once we were back in the commune, I broke into Harold's safe, stole all the commune's resources, and ran. I don't know when Harold realized what I had done or whether he even cared. All I know is that nobody came after me, so I kept running and running until I got to Berlin. Getting past the wall was fairly simple. You know how easy it is to obtain the falsified papers. The biggest obstacle I faced during my flight was the adversary itself. I could run from Harold, but how do you run from something that's tied to your own soul? I have a feeling that I know. The haunted look in Glory's eyes is heartbreaking. She gives you another curt, grim nod. I walked into the office of the first street dog I could find, pointed to all the biggest, spookiest pieces of cyberware that he had on display, and told them to put it into me. He tried to upsell me on better merchandise, arguing that what I was asking was old and inefficient, better suited to be installed in a museum than in a body. He told me that I'd be shredding my essence and that once it's gone, I'd never be able to get it back. Stuck to my guns. After all, shredding my essence was the whole point. Glory looks up at you. Her eyes are sunken and hollow, and the aura of loss about her is palpable. She looks like a woman who has been through hell. That's all for now, Shift. You've heard the tale. You know why I am the way I am. You know the things I've done and how much I've had to atone for. You still want my company? Fine. If I've lost your friendship, I understand that too. For now, I need to be alone. Man! Let's go talk to Dietrich. Dietrich raises a bottle at your approach. Yeah, again, boss. Need some? Any thoughts on the last run? Hell of a thing, wasn't it? Everyone made me glad I don't have to spend a lot of time in hospitals. I'll tell you that much. There wasn't a single aspect of that building that didn't make me feel uneasy. He pauses for a moment and looks you in the eye. Kind of a pity putting that triggered on ice like that. Least we could have done was hurt him out. I get that the job is the job and all, but if our client really did screw him over, he deserved to be better than being buried for it. He shrugs. Guess we'll never know. Any updates on Alexander? Nothing new, boss. He's adjusted. It takes some time. You ever heard of an organization called the Lodge? Lodge. He freezes up. Boss. Do you mean the Black Lodge? I don't know, maybe. Lodge was all that I heard. Let me describe it to you, and you can tell me if what I'm saying fits. Shadowy, powerful, secretive as hell, with deep pockets and a penchant for hiding the truth. They conduct all their business through dupes and go-betweens. He gives you a sideways glance. That sound about right? That's them in a nutshell, yeah. Well, if it's them, and whoever you're talking about, I ain't saying that it is, and I advise you to stay away from them. Stay far, far away. Whatever you do, don't take their money. If you do, they'll own you. I'll keep that in mind. Tell me what else you've heard about them. Well, the story is that the Black Lodge is the mother of all conspiracies. Supposedly, they've been around for hundreds of years, and they've been practicing magic since well before the Awakening. Impossible, I know, but I believe it. You ever heard of the Masons, the Knights Templar, the Bavarian Illuminati? They were all puppets of the Black Lodge. None of them knew who they were working for, but the Lodge was there, pulling the strings. They always been. They still are today. I see. Well, thanks for letting me know. Gives me a lot to think about. What do you think, boss? Suddenly I could use a drink. Good thing we cut loose with them after that. I was thinking about what you told me earlier. You said that your idol was gonna make you pick a fight you couldn't win. He shrugs. That'll happen eventually. Probably sooner rather than later. Isn't there something you could stop that from happening? Well, I suppose I could refuse, but that probably wouldn't be a good idea, especially not now. Remember, boss, the Dragon Slayer is where my magic comes from. If I turn away from him, you better believe that he'll turn away from me. Besides which, I don't even know if I can refuse him anymore. He's with me so long, I don't know where he stops and I begin. He grins at you. Don't worry about me, boss. I've known that was coming for my entire life, and when that happens, I'll go down in a blaze of glory the likes of which you can't even imagine. That's a promise. What if you were to pick a fight with a different kind of dragon? Say maybe a gang or a corporation? He pauses for a moment. That's an interesting idea. If we're big enough and heinous enough, he might be satisfied. I never tried to bargain or negotiate with a Dragon Slayer before. I'm not sure how I feel about it. I don't know how he'd take it either. Dragon Slayer doesn't like to be questioned, and his temper's even shorter than mine. I'll tell you what, boss. I'll think about it. You can't really believe that your idol wants you to commit suicide. Of course not. Dragon Slayer doesn't want me to die, but he does want me to kill dragons. That ain't supposed to be safe or easy. It isn't my idol's fault that I'm getting too old to keep up with his wishes. Nothing right now, D. I mean, going after a mega corporation is good and all. So what have I been doing this week? Well, I saw Vox Machina Season 2 yesterday. You probably already know how that went. One look at Blitz's face is enough to tell you that something is gnawing at him. He stands beside his table playing with a coffee spoon. Quick shift. What you need? What's going on, Blitz? Well, Chief, I hate to admit it, but I might be in a little bit of trouble here. Go on. There's an awkward pause, then Blitz plows on ahead. Well, remember those creditors I told you about? The ones who loaned me all that money? Yes. Yeah, well, as it turns out, some of them are a little less forgiving than I thought they were. Keep talking. Well, one of them in particular seems to have taken things kind of personally. How personally are we talking here? I got a package in the mail. It had somebody's thumbs in it. Thumbs? Yeah, thumbs. It came in a cigar box packed in salt. I have no idea who they belong to. I'm pretty sure that they're meant to convey some sort of message. I think that's a pretty safe bet. I don't want to lose my thumbs, Chief. I like my thumbs. I think I need to pay this guy back. Luckily, I got a plan. I know how to get myself out of hot water with meat grinder. I got it all specced out. Aight, lay it on me then. Well, there's this group down in Drogenkip. They call themselves the Ladenburg Ring. They're a financial crime organization, and there's a lot of bad blood between them and the meat grinder's operation. Anyway, back when I was running with the Schwarzherzen, I laid out the groundwork for a hit on Ladenburg Ring. I was never able to make good on it, though. For some reason, none of the other gangs ever volunteered to help out. With your help, I could steal enough money from the to cover my debt, get myself back in meat grinder's good graces in the process. So what do you think? A quick run, just you and me, with me in the Matrix and you as my man on the ground. We hit him, satisfy my debt, and laugh about it on the way back home. Like a plan? Alright, Blitz. But in the future, you need to be more upfront with me about things like this. No problem, Chief. No problem at all. You can count on me. Now, excuse me, I've got some last-minute stuff to take care of before we get started. On shift? Thanks. No sweat, Blitz. You at the U-Bahn? Oh, no, not as such, Chief. I won't be physically going to Drogenkip. I've seen enough that place for one last time. I'll be jugging in from a terminal I set up here in the Cruise Bazaar. Great. Okay, well, I guess I'll send you a call when I get there then. Sounds good, Chief. Thanks again. And this is the start of Blitz's loyalty mission. Or companion quest. Let's go talk to Paul now. I figure we might as well talk to everybody in the group. Amsel crawls over his shoulder at the sound of your approach. His eyes are glued to his computer's display. Shift, from Miller should be on her way, but before you go to a meeting, Slay, I have news. He glances at you and his words trail off. Upon seeing the expression on your face, Amsel's voice becomes grave. It can wait. Tell me what happened. I got some trouble in the U-Bahn. Somebody set up an ambush. Bad news, my friend. Somebody's hunting us. They set up an ambush on the U-Bahn line. Amsel pauses and then gives a curt nod. Truth be told, I've been expecting that something like this might happen. I'm really glad you made it out alive. Hand over the encrypted PDA. One of the attackers dropped this. Amsel takes the PDA from you and examines it. Yes, because I should be able to extract some information from this. Give me a moment. He plugs the PDA into his computer and goes to work. A few moments later, he lets out a grunt of dismay. Well, Shift, I was able to recover a file, but unfortunately that's all I'll ever be able to pull off this thing. All than anyone will, truth be told. It must have been running some kind of counter-intrusion software. The instant that I gained access, it bricked itself. Amsel disconnects the useless PDA and drops it to the ground. It clouds to a rest on the metal floor. What'd you manage to pull off of it? Conf file. The audio's all here, but it looks like they've only got one video from one side of the conversation. Let's see what we have. He opens a file and a nightmarishly familiar face appears on the screen. Bachmeyer. The voice bleeds out from Amsel's speakers, filling the room. Aldrin here. What's your status? Bachmeyer's image is garbled, but his voice sounds young and eager. Target acquired, sir. You were right. You respond on the U-band, just like you said. He's probably on his way to a job. As per your instructions, we're going to try to take him out on his way back. He'll be more vulnerable that way. Hopefully injured and low on ammo too, but only time will tell. Good man. Proceed as instructed. Will do. Cosman is rigging up the ambush spot now. We'll try to make it quick. York with the nightmare face nods. Send me a call when the job's done. Aldrin out. The imaging computer screen dies. Amsel turns to face you. Well, our scarred friend makes an appearance. Shift, I suspect that Greenwич's predictions are coming true. I believe that Fiercewing is behind this. Under Amsel's patient exterior, you can feel the worry that's eating at him. Be on your guard, you and the rest of your team. You made it through this attack relatively unscathed, but next time you might not be so lucky. Please know we have a name to put on to the face. Aldrin. That's all we have. As I was saying when you first walked in, I've been productive as well. I was able to uncover some new evidence in your absence. And coincidentally enough, that evidence pertains to our scarred friend. You might recall that I said I'd dig into Aldrin's skin grafts. Well, I did, and that search has finally borne fruit. One of my contacts outside Berlin handles the paperwork for private hospitals all across Germany. It's a dull, boring job, but it does have its perks. Amsel pulls open a file on his computer. A medical chart opens up on the screen. As it turns out, our scarred friend's skin grafts were performed in a legitimate hospital after all. Some good news for once. What do they say? Well, they're rather light on identifying information. Our friend's name is listed as Max Musterman, the local equivalent of John Doe. But they do cover his injuries in great detail. Aldrin's injuries were extensive. He had 2 broken ribs and a shattered pelvis, and he had sustained 3rd-degree burns over 60% of his body. Yeah. Most damningly of all, he was suffering from acute radiation poisoning. His body had absorbed 55,000 millisieverts of ionizing radiation, lethal dose without treatment. The information dries up at this point. We know that he was treated and discharged, but what happened afterwards remains a mystery. He pauses for a moment, studying the reaction. Your thoughts? Hold nothing back. I'd like to hear everything that comes to mind. Dang jaw. Aldrin might have spent some time in the socks. That radiation poisoning doesn't happen on its own. Agreed. 5,000 millisieverts is a lot of exposure. Short of basking in the glow of an unshielded reactor, I don't know how he'd have absorbed that much ionizing radiation without spending time in the socks. Alright, so Aldrin was heavily irradiated, most likely time spent in the socks. What else does it tell you? Well, those burns sound like dragon fire, but if the Firewing burned Aldrin, why would he be working for her now? I don't think Aldrin's working for the Firewing. I believe that he's serving her. On Greenwич's second DVD, he mentioned that there is a cult within the Sox that worships the Firewing, the disciples of the Clinging Fire. I believe that Aldrin belongs to this cult. That's bad news. Something more dangerous than a zealot. My thoughts exactly. A hireling can sometimes be bribed or reasoned with. A pawn can be liberated. But the Firewing soldiers look upon her as a godlike figure. Nothing short of killing her will deter them. Even that might not stop them. So, it's possible that Aldrin is a dragon cultist. This doesn't fit with much of the other information that we've uncovered. Did any of the red flags jump out at you? The hospital couldn't ID Aldrin. Either somebody covered his tracks for him, or he was living completely off the grid. Indeed, if Aldrin were a denizen of the Sox, a glowpunk, his lack of identifying information would make sense. Amsel adjusts his glasses. It's a working theory at any rate. So to sum up, Audrun was probably spent time in the Socks. It's possible they even lived there as a member of the Fierce Wings Dragon Cult. And he's after you. Amsel pauses for a moment before continuing. In my mind, all of this reinforces one fact. We need to find Beauclair, and we need to do it fast. Agreed. Good. And that's all the more reason to gather Alice's fee as quickly as possible. There's a buzzing sound from Paul's wrist, and he lifts his hand to look at his PDA. And as luck would have it, Frau Miller has arrived. Let's look at the meeting shift. Remember, this is urgent. We need that money. I'm on it. But I'll call it here for today. Honestly, good episode. We did a lot of talking with everybody. We got another debrief on Audrun, that orc with the graphs. And Blitz, we gotta do his loyalty mission. We gotta go ahead and talk with people. So, I'll see you guys in the next episode. If you guys like, I'm Dragon Mark, and next time on Shadowrun Dragonfall, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna go and talk with our contact, and then we're gonna talk with everybody else, suit up, and then boom. If you guys like what you saw, leave a comment down below, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and the bell to be notified when I'm gonna stream, and I'll see all of you next time.